Hi, and welcome to Safe Space. I'm your host, the artistic psychologist. This podcast aims to end the stigma surrounding mental health, one conversation at a time. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy. Hi, Gloria.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast, or welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
This is not your first time here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had you here maybe 2-3 times.
Yeah. I think this is the third time.
Yeah, Gloria is a regular on the show. It's been a while since I actually recorded an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Glad to be back, but also grateful for the break.
Yeah.
Karibu sana.
Asante, I'm excited.
So I'm a huge believer in conversation and sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that when we share our stories and listen to each other, it's easier for us to empathize and to be more compassionate and to heal. And I think it also makes us feel less lonely.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also a great way to help demystify issues and make them almost normal and a normal part of our conversation. And so that's exactly what we're going to do today and throughout this series. The series is called My COVID Story.
Okay.
You're our first guest.
Yay!
And basically, we'll be sharing our experiences living in and dealing with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And so today I have you on, as my friend. We'll also talk about just dealing with the pandemic on a professional level from your point of view. Yeah. So before we begin, I wanted to give you an analogy. Then you can tell me if you agree with what I'm saying, or maybe you have a different point of view. Then we can go from there, right?
Right.
So the COVID-19 pandemic began in 2019, but we officially got into it here in Kenya in 2020. And it's been a continuous ride on this pandemic roller coaster, right? And it seems to me like a ride that has no end in sight. So roller coasters are something that are quite terrifying for me personally. I don't know about you. And when I get on one, as much as I briefly enjoy the thrill, I take comfort in knowing that the end is in sight. Yeah. When I get into a roller coaster, because I can see the end, it gives me comfort and I can sort of relax into the ride.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier for me to just,
Deal with it.
breathe in, deal with it, and get it over and done with. In the beginning, we thought that this pandemic, we saw the end in sight. We thought it's like 2-3 months and we're done.
Mm-hmm.
So we relaxed into the ride. We gathered at home, we played games, we downloaded those apps that we did in the beginning. Whatever there was one called House Party or something.
Come on, and Netflix watching with your friend.
Exactly, Netflix Party. That's when I think we're all getting into TikTok and all of that. But the 2 months came and went. It became a year. We're still in the pandemic right now. It just keeps evolving and changing. And I think what makes roller coaster rides fun is that they're brief. We start and stop, and then we can decide if we want to go again, if maybe we want to do another ride, if we never want to go on another one again. But in this case, I think we were all forced into a ride and we have no option to come out.
Nobody gets to get off.
Nobody gets to get off. You can't choose I want to be on another ride now. We're just all stuck on this ride. And honestly, when a ride lasts this long, I think it just stops being fun. Now it becomes, we are anxious, we are tired, we are irritated, we are confused. We don't even know how to feel anymore, right? So that's my analogy. I think we're on a pandemic ride. What do you think? Do you agree?
I like that. I think I agree. In the beginning, it was all fun and games, and we were even willing to try those in a house party and all of those things, because we're that's what the world is doing. We're all baking banana bread, and in 3 months time we're all going back to school and to work and all of that. But now those things have phased out. We're bored of them, yet this thing is still a constant. Seasons have come and gone, trends have come and gone. We're still in this thing. We're bored, we're anxious, we're over it. So I agree with that. I
remember even in the beginning we were doing what are we doing? Games online. We'd call each other and have games with our friends.
So Zoom with your friends all around the world. People you've never even spoken to. Suddenly we're now all hanging out on Zoom.
Honestly, it was so hectic. But anyway, okay. So when you think back to March 2020, do you recall the beginning of the pandemic? How was it for you then?
Very well. I remember it very, very well. it like started off with this lady who landed in Kenya on some flight, and it was said that she's the one who brought the pandemic to the country. Although honestly, it can't be one person who does that whole job. But anyway, so people are like, oh my goodness, what if my neighbor was in contact with her in JKIA, and then they went to the office, and so there was all this paranoia. And those first on 15th, I think it was the weekend of 15th, me and the people who I was with, you included, were like easing into it, buying like sanitizer and, you know, guys, wipe your hands, all of these things. Then now the following week, now on the weekdays, we're like, okay, actually this is no longer a joke, and there was now a curfew and all of that. So it was like a bomb landed on us. Like we saw it coming, like a missile, and then oops, well, I guess we are here.
Exactly. I remember that time. It was like around my birthday, and we were having like a whole. We didn't even know that would be the last time we were gathering. You know? I used to think back to that time, and I'm like, if I knew,
Man,
we would have stayed together for like a whole week. Honestly, more than like a weekend or however many hours.
Because we just went to stay home after that anyway. There was nowhere to go.
There was nowhere to go. But okay, cool. So, you're a practicing therapist.
Correct.
Have you seen an increase in clients ever since the pandemic began? And is the increase leaning more towards a certain age group or gender?
Increase in clients, yes. Yeah, I would say that there's it's leaning towards a certain gender. I have a lot more female clients, but the more noticeable trend is the types of cases, like the reasons that the people come. They all are sort of within the same 5 cases, regardless of age, environment, even the country that people are in. They all have common problems.
Okay, and what are these? That was actually going to be my next question. Have you noticed any common issues coming up now, or since the pandemic began till now?
Yeah, so loneliness a lot. So for people who are in countries outside of their home, maybe like you're an exchange student, or you know, a student learning outside of your country, already you are lonely, but you know, you made friends, and then now, let's say like I'm from Tanzania and I came to Kenya, and my friends in university are Kenyan, so they've gone to their own homes, like where their parents are. But me, I'm a foreigner, my parents are not in the country. So I've seen a lot of loneliness among foreign students. Anxiety, I think, just because of being lonely. So before, you used to mask it maybe by hanging out with your friends or having a routine like going to class or to work or whatever, and then now you're just sitting with your thoughts and all of these fears and all of that. So it's not that
with your thoughts. That's exactly what happened. You're left with our thoughts.
It's like, I think we just like all our coping mechanisms were like cut, and now you're just like, actually hate it here.
Yeah. I really think what happened is that, well, before we had a lot of distractions in our day-to-day. So, you know, whether it's friends, we're going for happy hour here.
Yeah.
You know, a party here, an activity here. Now, when we're all forced to stay at home, even if you are with your family, you're really forced to sit with like everything that is within yourself, or maybe you've postponed over time. And I think that's what like really pushed people to get into a point where you're like, okay, I don't think I'm okay, and I need to maybe get some help. Yeah. And also, I think also just because we were really forced into being like together too much, but without the option of like, okay, I can leave my family exactly and go out. It's too much. It becomes too much. I honestly think I've realized now, as the pandemic has progressed, that it's very important to have that option of like, okay, I can leave, you know, maybe I can travel for a few days today, or I can go to a friend's house tomorrow, whatever. It makes it even easier to live with the people at home. Do you remember those first months when we went on a staycation?
We needed it.
Yeah, exactly.
We needed to be outside of our homes. It was paramount to our well-being.
That we be outside, and we came back like better people.
We were renewed. Gosh. Yeah.
Okay. So living in a pandemic and dealing with several other issues going on in the world is very anxiety inducing, I think, for anybody.
Yeah.
We're also finding ourselves collectively and individually dealing with a lot of grief. For many reasons, whether it's you're grieving the death of your loved ones, things that are happening in the world, life as we used to know it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So in this period where everything just seems abnormal and overwhelming, would you say that there's a certain level of anxiety and grief that can be too much? Is there such a thing? Like, okay, now I'm having too much anxiety, or this is too much grief, and maybe I need to seek help?
Yeah, I would. Especially the grief thing, because people are experiencing, I don't know if it's called collective grief. So it's not just generally the world is losing lots of people. So in the beginning days, maybe like the first year of the pandemic, we were just seeing statistics all the time. Like the whole basis of the pandemic was the statistics. So in New York, there've been X number of deaths, in France, in whatever. So that collective loss, I think is just like that's enough to send you to go and seek help. And then now add your own people are passing away, maybe your neighbor or your, a schoolmate or a family member, which now brings it home. So there was this huge like grief cloud on you, and then now it's being like, it's touching on the people around you. So yeah, I would say that warrants seeking help.
For the grief. And what about anxiety? Is it the same? How do you know it's too much?
Well, I would say it's too much when it's out of your control. Like you've actively done things to try and control your anxiety, whether it's building a routine or talking to people or eating better, whatever it is. So you've actively pursued certain solutions that are known to work, and you still don't feel any better. But it's like you need to give it a shot. Like you need to like try something for like a month before you say, okay, I'm too anxious, I need to go. But that's a very like, people's like thresholds for anxiety are so different. So I can't say like, okay, if it's been 1 month or 2 months, but I would say if it's out of your control after a good amount of time of you pursuing things that are known to work. Yeah.
That makes sense. I think also for anybody listening, it's all of us, I think, got into a point where we're dealing with much more anxiety than is normal. Anxiety on a day-to-day is pretty normal. Levels that you can control. Maybe, like for example, today we're shooting, you can get anxious about that. You get nervous, you get anxious, that's fine. Maybe you have an exam, maybe you're going on a date, whatever it is. But I think maybe you can ask yourself, like, am I able to do what I'm supposed to do on a day-to-day? And if the answer is no, then maybe you need to seek help. So maybe things like before, it was easier for you to do like the grocery shopping, you can cook for yourself, you can clean. But now you're finding that even going for groceries, like getting your groceries, cooking, cleaning, maybe you have kids, all of a sudden you can't even pick them from school, you keep forgetting them in school, or you can't even do work at your job or whatever. If you find yourself getting into that space, then maybe you definitely need to seek help. Yeah, for sure. Okay then. So what can people do to take care of themselves as they navigate the pandemic?
My favorite question in the world. All right. Number 1, journaling. Everybody knows that's like, if you've listened to me or Pauline, we'll just tell you.
We're always talking about journaling. Exactly. Like we live by that. Yeah.
Honestly, it's a very easy thing to do. You don't need any amount of money to start journaling. You just pick a notebook or a paper or your phone and put down your thoughts. It's also a very good way to like lay everything down. Like there's so many things going on in your head. You're thinking about school, work, children, food, all of these things. So it's a nice way of laying everything out for you to be like, actually, the problems are not that many, or actually, this is what I can deal with, this is what I'm going to ask for help with, whatever. So it's a really good way to just like organize all the things that are going on in your head. It's like a friend, but they don't respond. So that's number 1. And then
sorry, before you continue, like from journaling, I think also these days you can even you can record yourself actually. You can do like an audio journal or even video and listen back, watch back. Yeah, it helps a lot either.
Yeah, and puts like things in perspective and all of that. So you're not like deep in your feels and actually the situation is not that deep. You know what I mean? Another thing that was really, really emphasized during season 1 of COVID, like the first 6 months, was having a routine. And that was because things were thrown out of work. Like you would wake up in the morning to go somewhere. There's nowhere you're going. everything is happening more or less in the same space in your house, whatever. So build a routine out of whatever you usually do in your life. So if it's like a waking up time, choose a time that's suitable to wake up, a time to eat, a time to leave the house, a time to come back, a time to wind down at the end of the day. And winding down is that's a whole other thing, but it could include like journaling or reduce your screen time, or like put away your phone, read a book, that sort of thing.
Yoga,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So build a routine that incorporates all these wellness type things. So like what we were saying about journaling, Pauline has mentioned yoga, no screen time, that sort of stuff. What else would I say? Like talk to your friends or your family. Talk, okay? Talk to people. Make sure you're sharing, even if it's it doesn't matter who you talk to, but I would really encourage speaking to people. You first of all, you're helping the other person. They also have somebody to share whatever they're dealing with too. Yeah. And that loneliness aspect is being dealt with that. So you're not just, me by myself, or this life is so hard, or share with somebody, hear what other people are doing. Share, like build a community, talk to people. It doesn't have to be many people, but make sure you're releasing to somebody else.
Yeah, I definitely, coming up with a routine is so important, especially when everything seems to have been turned upside down. Just creating that sense of like normalcy for yourself in your day-to-day can really help you ground yourself. I think to add on to that, it's really important to also take care of your body. So things like eating well, drinking water, making sure you're getting enough sleep, things like that are really important for your mind as well. The minute you're getting like off all of that, you'll realize your mind is also being affected. And of course, exercise, please. Exercise is super important. Yeah,
take a walk.
Exactly. And now actually getting out of the house, in the beginning I know it was maybe a bit difficult, but now I know still there are many of us who are still working from home, etc. But I think it's really important to get out of the house, like even if it's just a 5-minute walk every day, or organizing something during the week. Go see someone, go walk in Karura or whatever it is. That's super important. I don't want to add anything onto that. No. When the funny thing about journaling is during this pandemic, I think so much has happened. And I remember I've journaled consistently for maybe like 5 years now.
Whoa. Wow, guys. I hope you had that.
For like 5 years. And I journal. In the beginning, I actually used to set an alarm so that I remind myself, like, I have to journal. But after like maybe a couple of months into it, it's something that comes to me very naturally. And every day I journal twice a day, but if not, just once a day, morning and evening. But if not, I just do it in the evening. And during the pandemic period, I don't know if it was season 1 of the pandemic, season 2, but like it really saved me a lot, a lot. Because just like you said, sometimes you don't realize. Sometimes it's hard to realize what's going on in your head or what exactly is going on around you. But once you write it down and you read it back to yourself, it's easier to notice like patterns. You're like, for the past like 7 days, I've been really sad, because of X, Y, and Z, or I've been like this, like that. Then it's easier to deal with it. And I know for me, it really helped me get out of a terrible relationship. Yeah. Like, which you know about.
I know.
Exactly. It helped me get out of a terrible relationship, which was very emotionally abusive, but I didn't realize it until I was reading back my journals, and I realized like, every day, I'm crying about this, I'm sad about that, whatever it is, and I realized like, hey, I'm not in a good space, and that's what journaling can do for you, because sometimes you don't realize where you're at, but when you put pen to paper or when you talk it out and you listen back, it will help you realize, or even when you talk to other people, sometimes you're listening to yourself talk and you'll be like,
wait a minute.
Things are not all right. Yeah. So
I also want to say that with journaling, you can be real with the book or if you're like audio, whatever. So
unfiltered.
There might be things that you would hide from like your family, your friends, whatever. Maybe you don't want them to know that actually it was you who initiated this fight or whatever. But like Pauline is saying about like tracking patterns, she was real with her paper, with her journal, and she was like, so this and this happened, and then this and then this, and then you yourself will be able to decipher. This is what's going on. This is what's happening in my life. That maybe, I mean, be real with your friends, but in case you don't, the paper won't judge you. It won't tell you. True. Yeah.
That's so true. And don't read other people's channels, please.
Yeah, don't.
That's like invasion of privacy, bad manners. Exactly. Even parents, don't read your children's channels. That's not okay. I don't do that. So we've talked about what we can do to take care of ourselves. Yeah. Do you have any tips on how people can take care of others around them, maybe if it's your friend or your partner, maybe your kids? Yeah.
So the way I was saying, talk to people. So you as the person on the other end, provide the space for people to come and speak to you. So like among my friends, me, Pauline, her sister, we have a group chat, but that's a space where any member of that group chat knows I can come and talk about whatever. I can talk about how I hate washing dishes or how my brother is annoying me or whatever the case. And as the other members of the group chat, we've created that space for them. So as a friend or as a sibling, colleague, partner, whatever, create space for people. Let people know that you can come to me and tell me what's going on in your life. It's okay. Like I really have no issue listening to you. Sometimes people are like, maybe if I tell them, they'll stop being my friend or whatever. Yeah. But create the space for people. There's something else I thought of and it has gone. Or ask like leading questions. So maybe you've noticed, maybe like somebody, your sibling or whoever, said that, oh, I've noticed X, Y, and Z, or they're talking about their lives. Then you're like, I wonder if my friend feels this way or my partner feels this way. So you can feel free to ask leading questions. Maybe the person is feeling shy, but when you bring it up, then they'll be like, actually, then they have a whole story to tell. So ask leading questions. Show people you appreciate them. Pauline she does such a good job at that. You guys who are listening, you should know. Show people you appreciate them. Life's not only about like being there for someone during struggles, but even just telling them, by the way, you're a really good friend. I really appreciate you, X, Y, and Z. Buy them something, visit them, appreciate the people who are around you and who are in your space. So you're not only friends with them for the bad times, you're also friends with them just for a good time.
That's true. And also, if you're struggling, please reach out. Like, I think as much as the people around you might be trying to connect with you, it's really important for you to also try and reach out. Tell someone, I'm not okay. Maybe I'd like to talk. Could we talk about this, that, or the other? It's one thing. One of my guests on the podcast during the grief episode actually said that it's one thing to, I'm paraphrasing, but she was talking about how you could have safe spaces, but then you actually need to use the safe spaces.
Correct.
Because sometimes we have people who are safe spaces for us, but
you don't utilize.
We're not utilizing them. Then they're pretty much useless. But I agree with everything you said. Like, check in on people. Have check-ins every other day. How are you doing? And especially like if someone is going through a hard time. In the beginning of the pandemic, when people were losing loved ones, it was a bit more difficult because even like the way we were doing funerals and burials was
tricky.
Yeah, very tricky, very different. We couldn't gather as much. So just checking in, like, how are you doing? How is everything? And now, I think till now, there are still people who are losing their jobs, or maybe they've not yet gotten a job. They've not gotten their jobs back.
Yeah.
So checking in and making sure like they're okay. You're letting them know that you're there for them. You're ready to listen. And all of that. And sometimes just organize something fun. Last week we were talking about sad things.
Honestly. Go for salsa night.
Exactly. Go for salsa. Do whatever. Go for salsa night. Just you can go for a walk together you remember when you did the virtual marathon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've really done the most. During this pandemic we have. Like, do whatever. Take that time to go and just enjoy being outdoors with your friends and have that connection. And talk about, those are the best times also, I think, to talk about whatever it is you're going through in a very like light-hearted manner. Then we take on the next day and the next and the next until we need that again. Okay. I know since the beginning of the pandemic, there's been a lot of information everywhere, and it can feel like there's just an overload of information. And I know we are trying to stay informed, but it can also just be, a lot. And I think also a source of anxiety and stress and depression and all of that. Yeah. How would you advise someone to manage that, like overload of information? Should we just turn it off?
I really like that question. In the beginning, the news was everywhere. You couldn't even see like somebody dancing on the internet. It's just news, statistics. So one thing, it's really good to stay informed. So you're not like shocked by things, but you don't have to be taking the stuff in every minute of every day. So one thing you can do is like regulate when you're taking in the information. So like those first days, the CS of health used to go on the news at 4 o'clock or 4:30. That was my news time. Whether I liked it or not, wherever I am, the news is on at that time. So that's sort of the time I would like now know like the statistics for Kenya. I know what's happening, whatever. But the rest of the day, the TV is not on. I'm not watching news. I just know 4:30 or 4:30, whatever time news to speak. That's when I'm taking in the whatever. So it doesn't. Okay, I mean that was a news that was on TV, but it could be the same for like Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or a podcast, whatever you get your news from. Let it be at a certain time of the day or of the week, not all through. You're just scrolling, you've seen a picture of like a fashion page, then you're looking at the news, then another thing is actually there was this page that was shared by your sister during like that season 1, where there was this page on Instagram that because of all the bad news and all of this heavy stuff, the purpose of that page is to share good news all the time. So I follow it till today. It's called Good News Movement.
Yeah, I follow it too.
And they just share like cute things that happened, like somebody helped somebody, stuff like that. So even in light of all the like news pages you're following or places where you get information, also make an effort to follow as many or even more good news or fun times things, so that your feed or wherever it is that you're consuming this from is balanced and all of that. I think that's what I would say.
That's true. Just regulate what you take in. And also, nowadays, there's information. You really don't have to sit down and watch the news. You could go on the internet, the website for, World Health Organization, and get your information there, or, read the breaking news articles and get the information there. But you don't have to be constantly taking in that information, all the time. I don't know how many people have died. What has happened, even right now with everything happening in the world, Ukraine this, Russia that.
It's a lot.
You really don't have to be. It's good to be informed, but you don't have to be listening to everything like every single time.
Every day,
yeah. To be honest, it's okay to turn it off for your mental. It's okay to even take a break from social media or clean your social media feed. Like just leave people who leave you feeling good.
Yeah.
The rest, it's honestly not necessary, I think. So let's bring it down to a personal level. Yeah.
All right.
How would you say your mental health or just your overall wellness has been affected by the pandemic over time? If it has been at all.
In the beginning, I would say I was ready.
You were ready?
When the pandemic hit, I had the tools, okay? I had my coffee in the house, bananas for making banana bread, coffee for dalgona coffee. I was ready. I had Netflix. I was ready.
Then we actually made dalgona coffee. Yeah.
Yes.
The whipped cream, the whipped cream.
But then it got really boring. I'm just really bored of being here, of seeing these guys, of sanitizing. Like it's really boring. And I live in an estate, and another big issue with being at home was the kids outside screaming all day, all night, like, God, can they go back to school? So it got really boring. My mental health was, I guess, fine, but I was just super, like, this is lame. We need something new. And then I would say my lowest point was when I didn't have much work to do. So actually that's another thing. When the pandemic hit, I got a job like soon after that. So I was like, okay, this is actually pretty good given that the pandemic has just hit. I didn't think I was going to get the job. So I had something to do for about 3 months. Then that ended, then I started something else. So for some time it was not busy, but I had like something to do, which a lot of people couldn't say for themselves. But then now after some time when I was not as busy, that I think was my lowest point. So not only are we in this boring season, but I just don't have anything to do. I don't have money. It's just boring. I think that was my lowest point. Then I got another job, and then, I now have other things to do, and now outside is open and there's no curfew, and wow. Yeah,
the boredom.
it's just heavy and boring.
It really was. I think it was very boring, and I think we did the most. Those first couple of months is when all our creative juices.
There was like a plan for every day.
Exactly. Then eventually you're like, okay,
I'm over it.
I want to.
I need something else.
Yeah, and I think for me, one of my greatest struggles is I'm very extroverted, and like I want to be with people and be outdoors and have that option. So I was like, okay, guys, this is too much.
This is getting...
I don't want to be home anymore. Like I need to get out. I like being home, but I also like the option of being outside of home.
At home.
Exactly. But now we had like, our options were limited. It's either the supermarket, home,
or your backyard,
or maybe like the hospital. There's
literally, those are your options. No restaurant.
The cafe's at 7. Exactly.
The curfew was at 7, and then restaurants used to close at 4:30. So to be somewhere at 4:30, you started preparing at 11. So basically, wake up and go for lunch and come home. That's it. That's the full day.
Oh my god, it was so hectic. It actually was. So the only places we could gather was like Karura. There's nothing else we could do.
Yeah.
Everybody was buying like bikes. I don't know. I remember
suddenly all dogs are outside.
Exactly. Skipping
Didn't even
ropes.
know you had a dog.
My dog was so fit during that,
the fittest.
that moment. Yeah, it was a lot. Do you feel over time, as we've gone through this pandemic, we're still going through it, do you think any parts of your life have evolved or changed because of the pandemic? Maybe like your relationships or your work life?
I think my relationships have my 2.5 friends. So guys, in case you don't know me on this podcast, I have 2.5 friends, okay? And the half is because we don't have many friends. Is because one of them, they're twins, so they become like half. And we have 2.5 friends. So of my very small circle of friends, I think those relationships have really like solidified, because we all have time to talk to each other and learn people's secrets. Like, what else do we do? Even at home, well, yeah, I would say even at home we've become closer, just because we've just told each other way too many stories. Like, we are just seeing each other way too much. So usually maybe they would be getting like the tail end of the story, but now you are here from the beginning, beginning to end. Work, I wouldn't really say work has changed much. I was working from home before. I'm working from home now. I think that's the most ideal way to live in life. And I'm happy that I get to do that. So work hasn't changed much, but my relationships are definitely deeper. Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's true. We really had time to just
learn about each other
more, true, with less distraction again. So, and the fact that I think we were not seeing each other as much makes you more intentional about getting to know what's going on in your life, what are you doing, etc. Yeah, I love that. I think that's very interesting. I think for me it's like a mix. Like definitely some of my relationships got like deeper and better, but I think also over time I let go of some relationships, because you realize like, this is not serving me anymore, or this is not a very healthy space anymore, or maybe you needed to draw some boundaries and push some people out, or
could you say that again, please? I think some guys
draw the boundaries.
Okay.
You have to draw the boundaries and push some people out. But for sure, even family relationships were, for me also, they got like closer and better. Though I know for some people it's not the same.
Yeah.
Now some people come from abusive homes, maybe. So that's difficult.
It became worse.
And I think also there's some people, like, the fact that you're always out of home makes it easier to relate with some people from home. But now that they were constantly together, sometimes you're confronting the fact that I don't like this person in my family.
Can't get along. Yeah.
I don't think they're the greatest person. Then conflict arises and you realize like, this relationship needs high-wazy. So okay, I'm glad yours was more of a positive twist.
Yeah,
you even started baking during this time, right? I remember, like selling.
Yeah, selling. We started a business with my sister. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I started a business with my sister.
This COVID, it's done wonders.
Yeah.
It really has done wonders. Okay, and how have you been extending grace to yourself during this period? I'm sure that times it gets a lot.
It gets a lot every day, I tell you. It starts in the morning. It starts being a lot in the morning. You see, huh? I wouldn't say that I extend grace to myself intentionally. It's just that you're still you tomorrow. So I was upset with myself today. I let myself down today. But tomorrow, I'll wake up still in my body, still as Gloria. It's not like, okay, so I dump that person, become a new person. So I think just the passing of time and realizing that you're like, you only have yourself. You didn't like you didn't like yesterday's version of you, but today's version of you is going to do do better than they did yesterday. So I think that realization is the extending of grace. I only have myself, so I better treat myself well, or forgive myself, or give myself a second chance, because that's all I have to work with. I can't be Pauline. I can't borrow Pauline and become her. Yeah.
Okay, so just being comfortable. Accepting yourself, maybe, or being more, showing yourself self-compassion, like, okay, maybe I messed up today, or I'm not happy with myself today,
we try again tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, then, fantastic. I'm done with those now.
Really?
Yes, now I have some bonus questions for
right.
you. I think, would you like to answer 1 or 2?
2, please.
2, please. Okay, let's do cheers with the grape first and eat the grape.
Guys, our set has grapes for us to eat. We're in the botanical garden.
No, we're not. We're at a medieval party
with a fruit theme.
Exactly, and orange water. So don't look at the question cards.
Okay.
Pick 2. Okay, pick 1 first.
Okay.
Then I'll read it out to you. Then you can pick another one.
You'll read it out to me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm guessing that's the right way.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think you've sort of answered this one, but anyway. What was one of your greatest struggles at the height of the pandemic, or any time during the various lockdowns and curfews? And have you dealt with the issue? If so, how? And if not, do you have any plans on how you can deal with it?
Greatest issue, loss of purpose. Has it changed, or I don't know what you asked, but yeah, it's not like that anymore.
Sorry, expound on the loss of purpose. What do you mean by that?
Not having things to do. So I'm like, you can't like work here or do this, or like I sikuwa na mwelekeo, like I didn't see where things were going. So yeah, I then turned that around and made it a me issue. And why can't you do this, and why can't you whatever, all of that, when it was more just a circumstantial thing. It's not really my own fault, but it's not like that anymore. Yay. What was the end part?
Have you dealt with the issue? Which I guess you have.
Yeah.
You said how you dealt with it.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not an issue anymore.
Yeah, that's fantastic, actually. That's a scary place to be, though, like loss of purpose. You're feeling like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What's happening? But I think it happens to
a lot
most
of people.
Us. Yeah, at one point. In fact, I think it happens several times as we evolve and we keep growing. Yeah. It's like, a death of you for a birth of another.
Because of capitalism, you keep chasing. I don't know if capitalism is a word. Where you keep chasing the next thing, the next good thing. So, for example, I started this place as an intern. Then now I'm like a manager.
Yeah.
And then I'm aspiring to be a CEO. So I'm not like that high of I've gotten this new job or I'm in this new position only lasts for so long before you're now bored and ask yourself, why am I here? Why am I not the CEO or whatever? And then now you're chasing the next level. So I think that's something everybody, regardless of whatever you do, feels. You get bored and you just get bored and you now want what next? I wanted 5 million, I now have 10. Next, I want 50. As humans, I don't think we stay very long comfortable in the positions that we're in.
Yeah. Okay. As we're also chasing self-actualization, I guess.
Yeah.
But the thing you said about purpose, I think also what happened is that while before we were so certain of a certain kind of future, now everything was turned upside down.
Mm,
So like before, maybe you knew I'm in first year, I'm going to go to second year, then third year, then I graduate. But then unis were being closed. You're like, okay, maybe now all of a sudden the school fees is not there anymore. So well, before you were really sure that I'm gonna graduate, then I get a job, then what? Now it's like
everything is the steps are not. It's not so clear cut the way it used to be.
Exactly. Now we have to look for a plan B. And did we have a plan B?
Never ever. What do you mean?
Have a plan B.
Yeah,
it can be scary, but we manage. We try.
manage.
Okay. Next.
Okay.
What would you say is the biggest impact the pandemic has had on your life?
I think actually what you just said about Plan B, it has emphasized the need to have multiple options. There's no surety in anything. Markets crash, even like now with the whole crisis happening. We are seeing new problems that we didn't think we would see. If there's a war in which country now, the cost of cooking oil has gone up. I can't sell chips in my restaurant anymore, and that was what was bringing me business. So it has really, really emphasized the need for a plan B and just diversify whatever it is. Be a jack of all trades. Invest your money in multiple things, not like only stocks or only, if you're offering like a service, offer different types of services. It doesn't have to be like all the time or you're good at all of them. You can even like delegate or like hire other people to help you, but have like plan up to like H, ABCD up to H, because things really change. Yeah,
that's true. You can also just invest in, now this is becoming a finance thing, passive income, right? Not all income has to be like something you're actively working
correct.
Right? Like invest in shares, something that will make money for you
while you're
without
doing
you having
else.
to exactly actually do some work to get that money. But that's pretty interesting. Mine would have been a very different answer. But
what's your answer?
Okay. I think there are many things, but I think one of the things that really stands out for me is that I got, I guess, some sort of push or courage to make shifts in some relationships that before I didn't have to. Yeah, I think I was tolerating a lot from some people.
Yeah.
And just dealing with the pandemic, and then for some of them being in very close proximity to them,
it became a real issue.
Yeah, it became like a real issue that I now had to deal with, or just confronting certain issues, because now we're home and we're doing nothing. Like,
you have time to think.
Exactly.
Actually.
So getting to the point of just examining all of that, then deciding like, okay, where am I going to go from here? And I found myself actually letting go of quite a number of relationships.
And you're better for it.
Honestly, I'm much, much better for it. I think I even have more to give of myself to the spaces that honestly matter. Yeah, and just take care of me well. And I was just able to let go of the exactly in toxic spaces. Like, so we thank the pandemic for that.
Yeah.
That's it for me. That's my one big thing.
Nice. It's a good one.
Well, that's it. We're done.
Yay.
I think that's a good place to end. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
This with me. Always.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Cheers. To the first episode.
Yay.